Ed Sheeran, I've got 3 words for you. Buy the club.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. We're back again. I think this is our 3rd episode in 3 weeks now, which I think is pretty damn impressive. As always, I'm joined by regular Carl. How are you, my friend?
Yes, I'm good, thank you, mate. COVID free, so that's something as of today. So we'll definitely be able to get to the away game on Monday. So very hyped about that. But yeah, very good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. Getting by, just chilling, really. So life's decent. Just on the beach, really. I am on the beach like Blues are on the beach. So that's the best way to describe it. We're joined by special guest. You've seen him before. It's Harry, Brummie On Tour. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I mean, I've got over Forest, so feeling a bit more positive now. I mean, of course, we've had some other information this week, so that's give a bit of a downer to all the fans, but I'm back. Loving talking to you guys, so yeah, let's get underway, my friend.
Cool, lovely stuff. It's never a normal week in Birmingham City, really, ever. Never. No. So let's dig into it. We'll start with that Forest game. I think the best way to describe it is as expected. Realistically, I personally didn't think we would get anything from the Forest game at all. You know, they're unbeatable at the moment. And they're looking very good for a potential promotion, that's for sure. Harry, I'll go to you first. Obviously, we went to the game together. What were your thoughts on the Forest game in general?
Well, first half, I thought we matched them. I thought it was an even first half, apart from obviously their goal. Keenan Davis, I'm afraid, had to score the goal. We both said that before the match as well, that we wouldn't be surprised if he scored a goal in that game, and that's exactly what happened.
Good goal.
Yeah, very good goal. I mean, our defence was all over the place, wasn't it? Poor Nico Gordon at the helm of it all, I'm afraid, as well. So yeah, that was definitely a goal to forget for Keenan Davis scoring that. But as a whole, in the second half, I thought second half we were poor. They played better than us. We didn't really attack really in the game at all. I think if we did, it was a little bit of periods in the first half. I mean, I thought Dini done better in 10 minutes. Were coming on than Hogan did the whole game. So, yeah, poor result. What was expected, but I do expect a bit better a performance from the lads, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I feel like our strategy, really, our game plan sort of left Hogan out to dry. So I don't really blame him. We lacked a game plan. I think we just went there and looked to match them and hope to get a point, maybe nick a win. That just seemed the way it went. But obviously conceding the early goal, that changes the game entirely. Carl, I'll come to you next. Obviously, you weren't at the game as you had COVID.
Yeah.
You were unwell. So, rather than talking about the game, obviously you can talk about what you've seen, maybe through the highlights. But Bowyer's post-match comments, I imagine you'll have seen those, about us probably being the better side for large spells. I did not think that whatsoever. Yeah. And Taylor Richards also felt we were the better side. Taylor Richards, I thought, was the best player. That's all I could say on that, really. So what did you think of those post-match interviews and on your thoughts on the game in general?
It's the problem with the post-match interviews is I know we touched on with Mark about Bo's attitude in them in general, but there's very few times he seems willing or seems to have seen what we've seen in the stands. And now I know the manager isn't going to come out and tear a team down every single time, so I understand that, but I think there just got to be a bit more honesty. I mean, sometimes when you go on Twitter when you're not at a game, or even if you are at the game, there's sometimes a bit of an even split of opinion, or it's leaning one way or the other. the opinion was all the same. I didn't see a differing opinion at all about the Forest game. So I'm not really sure what Bowyer was watching for 90 minutes on Saturday. Full disclosure, I think I was awake to see the team. I fell asleep and I woke up halfway through the second half, and I woke up and Soccer Saturday was on, and I was like, oh crap. And so we were I don't think they'd scored again. No, they hadn't. It was midway through the second. I woke up just before Etheridge got injured, I think. But yeah, I don't know where these players where these comments come from the players and the manager sometimes. And I think maybe Taylor Richards, being a player on loan, does he want to disagree with what the coach or the manager has said? Probably not. Wants to get a place in the team, wants to be picked, so maybe he doesn't want to disagree. But, from everyone on Twitter, I'm not saying that we're all going into it expecting something out of that. I don't think anyone, hand on heart, truly was. Let's be honest, Forest are sensational at the moment. But yeah, I just don't really know what I watched. And I watched the 3.5 minute Quest highlights, if it was even that long. And like, even just the losing of the ball, and I know midfielders do it, and I know it's happened for every team, but it was just from the moment we lost the ball to the moment he from them scored a goal, it just didn't really seem like we weren't that bothered by it at all. And it's like, all right. And the second goal, well, I mean, I don't know how that went in. It just seemed to hit him more than anything else and go in. But, I mean, the damage was done anyway by them. But, yeah, I don't know what Bowyer watches. And it does worry me sometimes that he's either incredibly not with it during the games, which would explain a lot, or he just doesn't want to, not confidence, which I get. But sometimes you've got to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you're not honest, then you can't set the right standard. And that game was not any sort of standard whatsoever. It was awful. Harry, I imagine you echo Carl's thoughts on Bowyer's presser. Obviously, we spoke about it in your preview as well. Overall, it's again, if you're going to lose to any side, you're not going to be too upset about losing to this Forest side because of how good they are at the moment. I think it's like 5 or 6 wins on the spin now, like 1 or 2 losses in their last 15 or 16 games. So they're very much an informed side. So yeah, we just take it on the chin and move on to Coventry this Friday, which we'll touch upon later, which will also be a tough game, but realistically there are some things pointing in our favour, I think, particularly injury-wise, and that's why we'll lose. So we'll talk about that in a bit. I am actually feeling positive for that one, surprisingly. So yeah, talking about the Blues' crazy merry-go-round and how crazy it often is, and it's never a normal day to be a Blues fan. We had a brand new honorary Blues fan the other day. I think obviously he's done music with JK before, and there's been a photo of him doing the Zulu hand gesture from a few years ago. And that's honorary Blue Nose Ed Sheeran on a night out with a few Blues fans in the Roost and whatnot. It's a shame that if they announce these things, then the pub, there would be no room to move in there. So it's just you got to be there to see it and experience it, and I'm sure the people who were there feel very lucky. I was certainly quite jealous. I'd have loved to have seen Ed Sheeran in the Roost. I'm going to ask you both for your thoughts on this, and I make it sound like we're going to have some in-depth analytical conversation about Ed Sheeran being in a pub pouring a pint of Carling. I'm not. I'm just saying, did you like it? Did you not? I'll start with you, Carl. Ed Sheeran in a Blues pub playing a pool tournament.
Yeah, what's not to like about that? Do you know what I mean? It was quite surreal, like, because I glanced at it briefly and I was like, oh, okay. I genuinely didn't realise it was him. I was like, oh, it's clearly just someone who looks like him. Scrolled on by, and then I think I must have been at work, so I must have been working. I must have looked at my lunch, and Twitter just exploded, and it was everywhere, and not just like on Blues Twitter. It was on all like the big, cool pages and not so cool pages online, and I was just like, this is sensational. Like that must have been just one of the most surreal moments of people's lives. Like, just in a pool tournament with Ed Sheeran, who has amassed more fortune and has more talent than I think we do. That's why the three of us are sat here doing a podcast on the internet and not writing songs. But yeah, it was just something that was pretty cool to see. Do you know what I mean? It was just, in a pub that we've either drunk in or, like walk by on a daily or a weekly basis. And yeah, it's just pretty cool. Like just something a bit different to start the week off right. Before into true Blues fashion. That's harder to say than you think it is. We have the rug pulled from under us. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Exactly. There's got to be some positive around Blues at the moment, and that's probably one of the few ones you can take at the moment. To be fair, we do have quite a few famous Blues fans, particularly at the moment, coming through. A few boxers. Obviously, you've got your Fi, Melvin, who's I think he's got his first major boxing event coming up very soon. Blues are getting a bit of publicity for that on Twitter, which is cool. And obviously bare knuckle boxer as well, Connor Tierney. So yeah, just showing how big our fan base really is at the moment, which is great. And hopefully Ed, after his night out, has a soft spot for Birmingham City. So we
Please
hope.
buy us.
Yeah, please buy us. I imagine he could afford it if he really wanted to,
please.
but I wouldn't wish that depression upon anybody.
Or even just the stadium. Just buy the stadium. That's fine. We'll accept that.
Just something.
Yeah, just the main stand. Just a burger bar.
Buy the club shop, mate. That'll do.
Yeah.
I'll come to you quickly, Harry. How buzzing were you about Ed Sheeran being in the Roost?
I was buzzing, to be fair, mate. It took me completely off the result that we got away at Forest. I thought it was a great positive start to the week, exactly like Carl said. And Carl took me words away. I was going to say, Ed Sheeran, I've got 3 words for you. Buy the club. Absolutely.
Love that, mate. Love it. So moving on to a bit more positive news as well. It's all just too much to take in. 3 youngsters signing 3 new deals. I think they're all 1-year extensions, to be fair. Odin Bailey, Josh Andrews and Ryan Sturck. I, for one, am very happy about this, but I don't know what Blues' intentions are. Whether you never know, they could be to cash in on these players. Really wouldn't surprise me if we cashed in on Odin Bailey, maybe even the other 2 as well. Baby Zigic, Josh Andrews, who's had a decent spell at Rochdale. Ryan Sturck has been on fire at Mansfield, and that, to be honest, out of the 3, the one player that I want to see the most is Ryan Sturck. I think he showed some really positive glimpses at the end of last season under Bowyer. I just feel like if he can already perform at Championship level and then has gone down to League 2 and really set things alight, there's no reason why he shouldn't be in contention. Obviously, we've got, I'd say midfield is probably one of the more competitive areas at Blues at the moment. Obviously, Gary Gardner coming into a bit of form again. Ivan Sundjic has been okay. Bakun has been a revelation. Jordan James has been an absolute star boy since breaking through. Tate Campbell as well can obviously play midfield roles. So it would be tough, but I don't see why Sturck couldn't compete. I think with Bailey, the only role he really fits at Blues will be a number 10, but I think he naturally likes to play more of a winger these days. But I do think Odin Bailey's deserved more of a run in the team for a while now. And then Josh Andrews, I think it's too soon to pass judgment on him yet. I still think that he's got a lot to give and a lot of development to go, but I'd rather have Josh Andrews in the squad than Sam Cosgrove. So there we are. I'll go to you first, Harry. What are your thoughts on these new deals? And would you like to keep them all or sell 1 or 2? What are your thoughts on that?
You know what, mate? It kind of, I'm happy about it, don't get me wrong, but it also makes me think, have the club got much money in the summer to sign players? Because let's be real, Odin Bailey, last time I was on here, we spoke about him, because obviously his contract was running out and we all thought they weren't going to give him a new deal. So for me, I'm just a bit wary of the fact that could we actually not be signing many players in the summer, hence why Bailey's contract has been extended. Are we going to bring him in? And I was all for one when last time I was on here as well, saying that I've been frustrated he hasn't featured, hasn't been given a chance. He's just been loaned out. So I'm happy in that sense. Just worries me a bit for the reasoning I've given. But yeah, for youngsters' development and everything, I'm all for it. I'd love them all to be in the matchday squad every single week next season. Even Josh Andrews, why not put him on the bench or something? Give him a go. May as well. I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's no reason why we shouldn't give these youngsters a chance, particularly towards the end of the season. Because, like I said earlier, we're pretty much on the beach now. Not officially, but it'd be very unlikely for us to go down now. I wouldn't mind it though. I'm still pro to League One away days. No, I'm joking. Carl, what are your thoughts on the contract extensions of the three youngsters?
Yeah, I think it's all really good. I think from a youth development point of view, that's really positive. I think they are probably three of the youngsters that deserve it based on the noise that's been made about them this season. I would agree with Ryan Stirk. I think he's got to be in and around the squad for next season. I think, if Jordan James can come in and not have had any professional football and do what he's done, Ryan Stirk's had a whole season at Mansfield where he's effectively helped them with their promotion push.
Yeah, exactly.
And has been a really strong part of that. So I'd expect him to not just be given the year extension, I'd expect him to be around it. Then again, I thought he'd be around it this season. So
did I, yeah.
We would have to see with that. With Odin, I've always liked Odin. I've always thought, I guess it's his affiliation to Blues. It's, when he scored that goal against Middlesbrough, you saw just how much that meant to him and things like that. I think if we're looking at forward, and at this point we'll say we're not expecting Chong and Richards to come back next season, he's a decent option. He's been playing first team football now for a couple of years. Forest Green obviously last season, and where's Livingston this year?
Yeah,
is it Livingston? So he's got the experience, and these guys, certainly with Odin, he's got a sink or swim, hasn't he, effectively? And next season I would hope that that's his chance, to impress and get another deal. And if it doesn't, well, then it doesn't work. But he's got a sink or swim. And then with Baby Zig, yeah, from what I've seen of him, which I must admit is quite sparing, I think it's the right idea to hang on to him. He also is another one that probably deserves another opportunity. So I say another opportunity. Opportunities in and around the first team squad. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, I guess, with him. But I totally agree with what Harry said. Is it a sign that actually money, and no doubt we're obviously going to touch on the accounts in a bit, is there that sign that actually that money isn't going to be there through the summer? We are going to have to rely on youth? Possibly. Is that a bad thing, though? Because are we going to have a bunch of youth players playing for their futures?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it swings and roundabouts, but I'm really happy that all three of them have been given extensions, especially as I think we mentioned either on the last pod or the pod you were on, Harry, that we weren't sure if Odin would get extended for sure. Yeah. But it's really positive news that they all have. And also I think there was news today that Rico Brown is expected to sign a deal as well.
Yes.
So, and again, that is more great news. So at least that's positive, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'm excited for all the young talent we got coming through. I just hope we're not signing them up just to cash in on them because we got no money. I think that is a bit of a worry. But they've done enough, they've done enough. I think Josh Andrews could probably do with another loan deal, get a bit more first team experience because obviously that experience at Rochdale was cut short by injury, sadly. But as for Odin Bailey, he's had enough experience now, and for me, whenever I've watched him, I've been impressed. He scored some good goals this season for Livingston. Actually, scored the other day as well. Yep. And when I watched Forest Green in the playoffs last season, he came on off the bench and completely changed the game. Like, it's not very often you can say a young player can come on and change such a high stakes game and pretty much turn it on its head. Obviously, they were unlucky not to win in the end. But yeah, Odin Bailey's got what it takes, and he showed that when he scored that goal against Middlesbrough. So, I think we've been very harsh on him over the years. And, George Friend said, what player do you think has got the most ability at the club? Bearing in mind we've got players like Ivan Sanchez and Jeremy Bella at this point. He said Odin Bailey. So, you've got an experienced man like that saying... he thinks Odin Bailey is one of the most technically gifted players we have at the club. So yeah, I'd like to see more of him, definitely. And
I think we just got to be patient with them as well. Do you know what I mean?
Very,
Like if they are, you know, I know how frustrating it is. You know, we've all experienced watching Lecco and various other players, but I think we need to give, certainly the youth players, we've got to give them time to bed in and be patient with them if they are given a chance, especially at this end of the season. I mean, look at the end of last season, we got done in those last 2 games, like 9 goals in 2 games because we were playing the youth. You know, we've just got to give him time. And I think so does Bowyer. You know, like he's got to realise that after this weekend, I think if Barnsley lose Friday, then we're mathematically safe regardless of our result. So not only are we going to be on the beach, other teams are going to be on the beach. Give them an opportunity and actually give them some time. And in the friendlies as well. It's no good having friendlies and not using them. But as fans, we just need to be patient, be behind them, like we were with JJ, like we were with Tate, with Nico, with Jude. I mean, I know we all had expectations for Jude anyway, but you've got to be patient with these guys because that is when you will see it, not when you're on their backs.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Would you both agree as well that Odin Bailey's Blues career is on the line when he comes back as well?
Yes, 100%.
Yes, 100%. I think the most pressure is on Odin. But that's, you know, because of his age. But also, I think he has been. For me, I think Odin Bailey's actually been a bit harshly treated by the club a little bit. Deserved a run in the first team a while ago and has just been shipped out on loan. And, you know, when Bowyer was asked, would we consider recalling him because we needed the numbers at the time, wouldn't do it. I just don't get the vibe that Bowyer actually wants Odin Bailey, which, you know, I could be very wrong. That you know, assumption is the mother of all. Yeah, so I really want him to do well, but he just never seems to get much luck when it comes to actually getting near the Blues squad. And you know, everyone was surprised when Ryan Sturck was loaned out because he'd just come off the back of a really good end to the season, and everyone was like, Ryan Sturck should be in the first team. And then all of a sudden we loan him out, and it's like, what? Why have we done that? Yeah, Odin Bailey's definitely the one with the most pressure, but I think he can deal with it. He seems like a calm and composed kid, so we'll just have to wait and see.
It worries me as well that it could. You said, Tom, that it could be where Bowyer isn't keen on him. It worries me that it could turn into another Ivan Sanchez situation where Bowyer wouldn't pick Sanchez either.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The situation with Sanchez, obviously he's a good player, but he did have a long-term injury. And he did pick him in pre-season, but then eventually got that injury, sadly. And yeah, it is what it is. But I also think Ivan Sanchez was probably a bit homesick as well. I imagine there might have been an element of that. Sure, he loved the club, but realistically, it's a massive jump to go from Spain to England. And yeah, I imagine he's probably happier being back in Spain now. So. You know, you never know. You can't really predict these things or truly know. But Ivan Sanchez was a great player. We all know how good he was. Just didn't really work out for him in the end, sadly.
Could you imagine him now? Chong, Taylor, Hernandez.
Ivan Sanchez would have been great in this team.
Oh my! Just thinking about it makes me sad.
Yeah, me too. You know, I'd have had Sanchez at number 10 while Chong was injured, if I'm honest. But you know.
Yeah.
Hey ho.
Forget Lyle Taylor, baby. It's now Odin Bailey, baby.
Yeah, to be honest, out of all the players that obviously we've signed on loan and whatnot, I think Taylor's the only one that I think I can see us definitely bringing back because I think Forest would let him go for free, particularly if they got promoted. As for Onel, I think Norwich will look to cash in on Onel, or they might use him next season. And Heath Chong, his wages are pretty much like double anyone else's in our actual current squad. And that's just his wages at United. So I can't see that one ever materialising whatsoever. And United, they're thinking of handing him the 1-year extension, but purely just to cash in on him, nothing else. So that's the rumours I've seen anyway. So yeah, I can see us getting Taylor back, but not the other two. Potentially Onel. Obviously, we've already said we've inquired, but you never know. He's a good player and could definitely do a job for Norwich, and I'm sure Norwich fans feel the same. Moving on to a negative, sadly, and that is the financial report that came out from last season. Came out the other day. It's a rough read. I've read Dan Ivory, Almagier's write up on it as well. I've read everything that Kieran his name was. Yeah, Kieran Maguire, that's it. I did a podcast with Kieran Maguire once. He's actually a really nice guy. Very interesting, very knowledgeable. And obviously, go check out the Price of Football podcast if you are interested in the financial side of the game.
Is there anyone you've not done a podcast with, Tom?
I don't think so.
You like to put it about a bit, don't you?
Yeah, I've definitely been around the block. Yeah, no, I've been around and done quite a few podcasts with a lot of different people, but Kieran was an interesting one. That was on the old Goal Hanger podcast I used to do with Adam and Brandon. So yeah, no, that one was great, but that was mostly talking about Derby's financial affairs, and there's a lot to dig in there. But yeah, so no, another great write up really. I feel like the biggest talking point was, would we still exist if Jude Bellingham wasn't sold? Because that really seemed to be the case. Or, you know, would we be in admin the same way Derby are right now? Like, what could have happened? What could have been? Would we be on a 21-point deduction on our way straight back down? Straight down to League One? I don't know. But I feel like that's it. It shows why Jude's number was retired, and he should probably have a statue at this rate as well.
Can't afford it.
Yeah, but we can't afford that. It's free to retire a number.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, but that's the main talking point I saw from it. Obviously, the things that Dong spent his money on while he was CEO and his pay rise and whatnot doesn't help. Like, that amount of money could really have helped the club. But obviously the wages is still clearly a problem. Wages is still a problem. We're still losing a lot more money than we're making, and a lot of that is down to the wage bill. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and that's probably where you have to sympathise with Bowyer and Gardner a little bit and just cut that little bit of slack and see what we do in the summer. Carl, I'll go to you first on this. What was your general take from those financial reports?
I don't think there's anything to take from it other than we are in the shit, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that this isn't news to us particularly. We're fully aware of this for a while. You know, Dan again has done some, you know, where would we be without him? Do you know what I mean? Like, the stuff that he's found out and puts out there for us is sensational. Yeah, I mean, I think you've kind of summed up effectively what I would have said, mate. You know, it does appear to be that Jude Bellingham has, I know we've all sort of said, well, he saved our club in defence of the retire the shirt jokes, but it looks like he literally has. And the sale of Che as well before that as well has obviously helped. So yeah, it's just not pretty, is it? There's literally no positive you can take from it. You know, the sale of Jude makes it look better than it is. With, you know, it's quite literally polished a turd, and not just any turd, like a really horrible, stinky, you know, turd. And I say polish it in the loosest possible terms.
Oh dear.
What do we say about it? You know, it's genuinely scary. And it just shows you how much money, ignoring the Dong thing, but how much that trolley dash has cost us.
Yeah.
It feels like we've we've been on this spiral since before this lot came in, to be fair, from the look of it. But it just makes you, it just sinks your heart, because we love this club. What would we be? We wouldn't be here without this club. I mean, I know we exist, but we wouldn't be chatting about it. You know, we'd had nothing like that on the go, and it just genuinely makes me gutted, and we really need to get these owners out.
Yep, desperately, and obviously there is there is a few rumours of a protest before the Coventry game. Depends whether there's a big turnout for that. It's frustrating because I feel like the club, obviously appointing Ian Dutton and Craig Gardner in those different roles, are trying to change things, but we're not changing quick enough. We're not changing quick enough, and right now the pace we're moving at, it's still not fast enough to change the fortunes of this club and the way we're heading and the direction we could be going in.
The problem is the problems are above them, and
Yeah.
that's the biggest issue. You know, you can put up a few street food vendors, which I'm not knocking. They've been great additions to have that different there. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
Ian's communication we've mentioned has been great, and that's brilliant. I know he helped you guys out at Swansea, as we spoke about the other week, and that's brilliant. But ultimately, he still reports to those upstairs. And unless he's got millions tucked away to buy the club that we don't know about yet, which, Ian, if you have, let us know and we will back you. He's still ultimately answering to, I'm going to call them the overlords. That's no disrespect to Ian and the others, but he's answering to the overlords who, let's be honest, don't give a damn about this club. Don't care about us. They don't care about Jeremy and, Assessor Blues, and doesn't care about anything else to do with us. They just care about their listing. And that's the biggest problem. You've got all the people at the club can do the greatest work in the world to get us back on side, but it's above them that the change is needed.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're just an app on their phone that they don't use anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they're just bored. Like, they keep us there because it's great to have a Hong Kong listing, and that's about it. They invest money, we lose it, and hey presto.
Yep.
Beg for some more cash to actually run the club, and that's about how the merry-go-round works, really. Harry, what were your thoughts on the report?
I mean, he said, Amadou, he said Bellingham's the saviour, but is he really the actual saviour? Because if Pep Clotet didn't play Bellingham, there would be no sale of Jude Bellingham in the first place. So Pep Clotet is, for me, probably 50-50 in the saviour comment that Almagier has said about Bellingham, for that exact reason. As well, I think the summer we need to continue to get the big wages off the players that are earning too high on their wages. We need to get rid of them, even if they are potential good players in our team. I just think if they can get players that are going to earn less, but potentially could improve us at the same rate as what the players are performing at now. Obviously, well, I'll say that we're finishing 18th every season, but we just need to get the big earners out the door as well, and we just need to continue that process of what Craig Gardner is trying to implement. But yeah, it's worrying. If I'm honest, it is worrying to think that if it weren't for the Bellingham sale, that we could be in utter shite this season.
Yep, that's the best way to put it, really. With Pep, from what I've gathered and what I've read, I think one of the other reasons we got rid of Monk was because Monk didn't think Jude was physically ready yet. Dong was very interested in integrating Jude into the first team as soon as possible because of the interest that was already there from big clubs. And obviously with Pep, appointing Pep, that Dong and the people above will have that bit of control over him. He's easier to control than a Gary Monk is. I think Dong Ren being on the training pitch with Pep Clotet is a great example of how involved Dong Ren was when Pep was
in a tracksuit.
Yeah, in a full tracksuit and football boots. So at the end of the day, I think no matter who we brought in to replace Monk, it would have been they would have been asked to get Jude starting and playing. And obviously that's not a bad thing because Jude clearly was ready. He was a fantastic footballer, still is, and getting better and better all the time, and looks probably doubly the better player he is now at Dortmund than he was at Blues, which is amazing because he's developed a lot, especially physically there. and he's still the star player on the pitch, even at a much higher level. So it is great to see. But I think with Pep, he was kind of forced into playing Jude. But I doubt Pep will care, because Pep saw something in Jude anyway, and trusted him, put a lot of confidence in him. Jude ended up playing something crazy like 40 games in the end. So credit to Pep where it's due. But I think no matter what, whoever was played, Jude would have had some involvement that season, and had to, because we needed the money, and I think the club knew that. So that's the best way I can summarise that.
And I'll just say though, if Don got rid of Monk for that exact reason, that really pees me off, because Monk played the best football since Gary Rowett.
It's not only that reason though. I think
I know. If it was a big
one of a few reasons, and as bad as Dong is, Monk had stuff going on as well. Like, let's not cover him in glory here, because Gary Monk has been at other clubs and had the same issue, essentially. Leeds, Middlesbrough,
Sheffield Wednesday,
yeah, and a lot of that being like agent fees, and one of his best mates being an agent. I think it's Silverstone or something, whatever his name is. James something.
James Featherstone, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, that's it. Featherstone. That's it. Yeah, James Featherstone. So yeah, I think that there was something going on there, and there's so many different stories and rumours around that. So Monk, yes, played great football, seemed like a likeable guy in every press conference, and seemed to get on well with the fans. But I'm not going to sit here and say that he was, the golden boy. Because I don't think he was. Because if it didn't happen at other clubs, then I would question Dong. But when you've got owners like Steve Gibson who have a problem with Gary Monk as well, by the sounds of things, then it does make you really question it. So that's my verdict on it anyway. But we shall move on a little bit now from the financial reports, and we've got a few questions sent in by some of our viewers, so this is quite exciting.
Are they from our actual viewers, or have you just made them up?
Oh, of course, yes, I've made them up. No, I'll shout out the viewers that have sent them in, if I can actually find the screenshot of them being sent in. We'll start with this one. This is from @SamHoltam4. His first question is: if the club had $5 million to spend on either getting the lower Cop/Tilton fixed or bringing in 3 first-team regulars, which would you pick? Brackets, has to be done, or the other. Close brackets. Who wants to answer this first?
Harry can, because he's the guest.
Go on then, Harry. Would you spend fixing the stands, or would you bring in 3 first-team players?
If we're on about Chong, Hernandez and Taylor, that would not cost £5 million, would it really? It would probably cost a lot more than that to get all them 3 back. I know you can get other good players as well, but £5 million for Blues is practically, for us, is a fair bit of money. If I'm honest, probably the ground, because it would get all the supporters, hopefully, back together, and the stadium rocking again. So yeah, I think that's a bit more important.
I completely agree, and I think it's also beneficial for the club to get the stands fixed so they can actually get some revenue in ticket sales. Not that anyone would really want to come at the moment, because we're pretty bad. So at least we can all get everyone in the stadium. We can all watch us go down instead. So yeah, we might as well fill the ground while we plummet. I would probably say fix the stands as well, because I hate St Andrews at the moment. It's genuinely lifeless without those lower tiers. Especially if you include safe standing in that question. I'd love that down at Blues. Carl, what's your answer?
Yeah, I agree. Let's be honest, we haven't got a great history of investing money in players. We think that $5 million is what we nearly spent on Ivan Sunjic. So I think that we've done all right out of frees and loans. I know that's not ideal, but if it means getting the stands fixed, absolutely. I think it's about, with respect to teams that we've had previously, we've had worse teams than we've had now and played well when that stadium is rocking. Let's be fair. So I think the stadium is essential for all the reasons that you guys have said as well, for the atmosphere, even if it's not full, people are back in their seats around people they know again. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that in itself makes a load of difference. So yeah, let's get the stands fixed. And I think we all know that's got to be the priority. So yeah, 5 million on the stands would be ideal. So yeah, I'd pick that one. But thanks for a really hard first question, Sam. Crikey.
Yeah, I was going to say it's quite a tough one. Second question from Sam is: which manager would have done a better job with the current players this season? Not given any options. So I'll generate a few options for you. This batch of players. Let's go with the managers we've had it since we came down to the Championship. So we'll go with Houghton, Lee Clark, Rowett, Monk, Clotet, Redknapp, Cottrell,
Zola.
Zola, yeah. We'll go Craigie and Spooner as well, and obviously Lee Bowyer. Carl, you answer this one first, since Harry answered the last one. Which manager you think would do best with this side?
I should have not jumped the gun on that last one, should I?
No.
Christ. I think I will probably go with Monk, I think. The reasons for that are that he really did play to our strengths, and I think he would do exactly the same again. One of the things we lacked under him was quality, and I think he would be the best person to get that out of them. Clark and Rowett, I think they would. Well, Clark, it would be as bad as Bowyer's bingo machine. Let's be fair. Rowett, okay, he's doing a good job at Millwall, but I don't think these are his type of players. Some of them.
Yeah.
Zola, I was tempted to give Zola the shout because again, he didn't have the players. Only because he didn't have the players when he was here, when he tried to play the wing-back system. I know we still don't really have the players, but they've done better. Cottrell, well, he can get in the bin. Clotet, again, yeah, maybe would do better, but I think Monk, just because I think he would, yeah, I think he'd get the best out of them. I think we'd have, because when you think about with Monk, with the backroom staff that comes with him as well, they worked wonders, especially, I think we all know the effect that James Beattie had on the strike force when he was here. So, yeah, I'd go with Monk for me, but that is an absolute shitter of a question, and that's a rotter. But Monk for me, mainly because that was probably the last time I was truly happy as a Blues fan.
Yeah, so, I think I'd have to agree. It's very tough because I love Gary Rowett with my whole heart. Still dream about the Rowett days. Yeah, I think some people might say Houghton, just because of what he's achieved as a manager, and obviously how well he did at Blues. But I think he proved this year at Forest that I think Houghton is sort of outgrown the Championship now a bit, or the Championship has outgrown him. Like it's a different game now. It's a different game than what it was, and his style just doesn't seem to work as well. So I think he's gone to international management at Ghana now. Which is interesting. Not a route I saw him going down, but good luck to him.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I would probably go with Monk as well, just for the team spirit's sake. I feel like the spirit under Monk was really good. The connection with the fans was great. Atmosphere was great. A close second would be Rowett for me, though. But the reason why I'm not going with Rowett is, like you say, the type of players. I think Rowett works better with sort of run through a brick wall players. Fight for the shirt. Whereas Monk can work with both. He's got those more technical players, and obviously, you look at Millwall; they do have some good technical players, but I do think they're still of a great mentality as well. They're not really luxury players as much as some of the ones we have now. So yeah, I would probably go Gary Monk as well. Harry, who would you say? I feel like you're going to echo us.
Well, it was going to be really easy if you didn't say Blues managers. I already had two outsider managers of other teams in my head, but if it was until you changed it. But yeah, Blues. I think I'll probably agree with Gary Monk, if I'm honest. He sets his teams up really well. Knows how to win a game of football. Even against big teams, he sets them up in order to win. Defence to attack. Like Carl mentioned, James Beattie was crucial when Monk was in charge as well. Got Che really scoring bangers, to say the least. Close second, I'd probably choose Rowett as well. If I was to add a third to it, probably be Clotter. That would be my in order 3. Gary Monk.
Fair enough. I think I've lost my train of thought now. With Gary Monk, that season, if we didn't get that point deduction and then go on that 6-game losing run after we got it, I personally think we would have finished 8th or 9th that season.
Yep.
We were 8th place at the time, which is unthinkable now, really. To think that Blues could ever be 8th. Obviously we were in 8th place. It was sort of past the halfway mark of the season. We get the deduction, go on the losing run, and then we coast till the end of the season. I think we finished 17th. But realistically, you put the points back on, we would have finished 14th that year, but I still think we could have done better than that. So obviously with Rowett, he got the 2 10th place finishes and then was in the playoffs before he was ridiculously sacked, which still haunts me to this day.
It haunts us all, I think, doesn't it?
Yes. Next question is...
By the way, Sam, you're barred from asking questions for at least a month after those 2.
They were very tough, very tough. Keep it up, Sam. Miles McKee, or at MMCK231101, and he said, "What players that we currently have out on loan will be able to start regularly for Blues next season?" I think this kind of carries on quite nicely from our conversation earlier. So I'll go to you, Harry. I'll make the question a bit more simple for you. Of those 3 players we mentioned earlier, I can't remember if we have any others that are out on loan. Harley Dean, but Harley.
Lecco, Cosgrove.
Lecco, 2 of those can get in the bin. Lecco, I still like. I want him to do well, but I don't know. Go on. The 3 lads that we mentioned earlier, or Lecco, or if you have a soft spot for Dean or Cosgrove, go for it.
That was a bit of an overstatement, at least. Odin Bailey, mate. I'd love him to thrive under Lee Bowyer and Blues next season. I think, like we mentioned a bit earlier, Chong's not there. Why not give him that number 10 role? Just behind a striker or strikers, whatever formation Bowyer tends to play. If he plays a diamond or if he plays a 3, I think Odin Bailey.
Fair enough. I'm going to say Ryan Stirk. I really want to see Ryan Stirk involved next season. Big fan of him, and I'm loving what he's doing at Mansfield. And he's already shown that he can do it in the Championship at Blues in his short spell. So I think Ryan Stirk, a bit different to Jordan James. I think Ryan Stirk's a bit more of a deep lying playmaker, can make those 3rd man runs, and has probably got a bit more defensive ability than JJ. But JJ going forward, much better attacking player than Stirk. So I'd love to see a partnership of them one day. Probably not next season. I think they're both too young for that responsibility. But maybe one day in the future. You never know. Carl, who would you go with?
Well, I feel a bit sorry on Josh Andrews if I don't say Josh now, to be fair. I'm... why not? I'm going to go with Josh Andrews, and not just because I feel sorry for him. I think that he is our answer to Duke. I
was going to say the same thing. I think he's a great replacement.
Yeah, he really is a like for like. I think whilst the Championship isn't necessarily built out and out for big strikers, it's a great option to have. It's a different option. And also he's got the youth and the legs on his side, and from what I've seen, watching the game against, I know it's under 23s, but the Norwich game, was it, when he scored that goal? I think it was at St Andrews. He just looked great, and he looked up for it and looked like he wanted it. And I think that he's effectively a ready-made replacement for Duke. So get him in, get him around, let's hypothesise and say Taylor's back. Get him around Taylor, Deeney, I'm going to say that Hogan will be there as well next season. Get around 3 strikers who have got experience at that level, and I think he thrives. And I think he's an option. He's got, he'll probably have more pace than Deeney and things like that. Not sure against Scott, because Scott seems to have I say a turn of pace compared to the rest of our strikers, a turn of pace. But yeah, I'd say I'd love to see him around it. Obviously, I think we'd all love to see all 3 in amongst it. But yeah, I'll go with Josh Andrews, I think.
Yeah, I think with Andrews, it's interesting really because he is a bit more mobile than Duke, and can actually use his feet rather than just his head. Yeah, I think he obviously offers a bit more pace as well for a big lad. So I'd certainly be interested. I'd like to know what Rochdale fans thought of Josh Andrews in his brief spell there. Scored a couple of goals, particularly in cup competitions. Whenever I've seen him at youth level, he looks very, very promising. So I'm all for it, especially with these sort of on the beach games we've got coming up for the rest of the season. Why not? Let's do it. So yeah, there we go. Another tough question. Thank you for your question, Miles. Another question was from Sid, but it's not a question. It's just hashtag BSHL out.
We agree, Sid.
Yes, we do agree, Sid. And then from Cal at the real Cal T, what would you say the likelihood of signing Taylor and Chong permanently is? I feel like we've kind of already touched on this a little bit. I mentioned earlier, I think we will sign Lyle Taylor next season, especially if Forest go up. I think they'll want to get him off the wage bill. I don't think he has a future at Forest. You never know, but I doubt it. And I think he wants to come back to Blues because he wants to play it somewhere where he's loved, and we're giving him that love. So I think Taylor is a definite. Chong, I don't think he's coming back next season. It'd be very surprising and amazing if he did, but I'm not really that bothered as well because he's an expensive player and we can't afford to spend that much money on someone who could be injured for half the season. So I think Chong's very unlikely. Carl, what are your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I echo you. I always think Chong was unlikely regardless, because even if he was to go on a free, we couldn't afford that. It's as simple as that. Is there a chance maybe Man, you do give him a new contract and he comes out on loan again? There is that potential, but definitely not on a permanent. That's not happening. Lyle Taylor, 100%. I think all the noises coming out of every party seems that it's going to happen. If you read between the espionage of, we'll discuss it at the end of the season. Well, he loves it here. We love him here. Forest, even if they don't go up, I don't think they're particularly going to want him because they've got other players. So, I think that is definitely, we've said it, I'm sure it's said on many other podcasts about Blues that may or may not be out there in the internet sphere. I think Lyle Taylor's the one that's going to happen, and I'm here for it. I'm all right with that.
100%. Harry, what's your thoughts on that question?
Well, the Taylor one is linked in with a little bit of the last question about Josh Andrews. I think if Taylor signed, Lecco came back, I feel like Josh Andrews would be probably loaned out again. And obviously, depending if Duke was still here or not, I think it all depends. Josh Andrews depends on all of that. But I think if Taylor was there, he could boost Josh Andrews up and he could learn off Taylor, Josh Andrews. But as for Taylor in general, I don't know why, but ever since the Forest game, and it just had to be the Forest game, I've had a slight, only tiny, but a slight doubt about whether he will actually sign for us in the summer. If you think about it, Lewis Graben's like 35, he's out of contract in the summer. Keenan Davis is only on loan at Forest.
They'll sign Keenan Davis, though. They've got the money to.
True. But they're left with like Sam Surridge, or I don't actually know if he's on loan there or permanently there.
He is permanent. He scored the other day at Blackpool as well.
Yeah, so they've got Surridge and Brennan Johnson, and there's going to be Premier League teams sniffing around for him, I think, even if Forest don't go up. So in that sense, if he leaves and they've only got Sam Surridge left and they don't take up the option of Keenan Davis, I'm afraid I think they'll want Lyle Taylor to stay next season. I think it just all depends as a whole. They go up, we get him. I think we'll definitely get him. They don't go up, I think I think it's a 60-40 chance we will, so 60% in our favour. But we'll have to see on that. Chong, I can't see it, if I'm honest. The last I heard on the Chong situation was Man United triggered it, but they've told him to leave. But what they've done, they've triggered it and they've told him to leave so they can get money for him. That's the last I heard on the situation.
Okie dokie. Well, that's the end of fan questions. Good little segment there. If you've got any questions for us, then
Easy questions.
Yeah, easy ones, preferably. At us on Twitter at Blues Focus Pod, and ask away. We'll answer as many as possible, or anything really, if it's within means. So yeah. Now we are on to the mini game. The mini game for the week. Absolutely buzzing. I love this segment. It's my favourite segment every podcast, and I do enjoy creating these mini games. So today's mini games, we have Carl and Harry going head to head in celebrity football supporters. So there we are. I have 10 celebrities, and I will name them one at a time. I will give you 3 different clubs. You have to tell me which one they support, and we'll read out I'll tell you the answer after the question as well, so you can write up your tallies. So yeah, I'll try and keep it. I'll get some paper. We got some paper kicking around here.
Yeah, please do. I haven't got any paper on me.
I'll keep score. I'll just keep score on my notes, to be fair. Right, so we'll start off with celebrity number 1, Ed Sheeran. Does he support Blues? Does he support Ipswich? Or does he support Norwich?
He supports Ipswich.
Harry?
Birmingham.
Have you genuinely said Birmingham?
I know he doesn't, but I don't know the answer anyway.
Okay, well, the answer is Ipswich, so it's 1-0, Carl.
Yes! I'm finally winning one of these. Come on.
He's finally winning a mini game. I'll try and get you both to say your answer at the same time, so it's fair. I'll do a little countdown for you. The next question is another bit an easy one, I'd say. Tom Hanks, Man United, Aston Villa, or Chelsea?
Man United.
3, 2, 1, go on.
Aston Villa.
He's already said Man United. Well, it's Aston Villa, so it's 2-0, Carl.
I clearly need more time. I need to do more things with my life, apparently.
Now this one's a tough one. Number 3, Margot Robbie. West Ham, Chelsea, or Fulham?
West Ham.
It's 2-1.
Ooh.
Harry's got one back. She supports Fulham.
I just guessed that randomly. I'm not even gonna lie.
There we go. It's close. It is close. Number 4, Sylvester Stallone. Liverpool, Everton, or Manchester City?
Liverpool.
Nope, Everton. You both got it wrong. So there we go, a point drop.
How does Sylvester Stallone support Everton?
I don't know, but I do remember seeing him at an Everton game on Match of the Day like 2 or 3 years ago, to be fair.
Oh.
But yeah, he's their most famous fan. So there you are. Next one, Daniel Craig. Nottingham Forest, Liverpool, or Aston Villa?
Liverpool.
Go on, Harry.
Villa, I don't know.
It is Liverpool, so it's 3-1, Carl. Next question, Craig David. I'm assuming you both know who Craig David is. So Craig David, Southampton, Reading, or Arsenal? 3, 2, 1.
Southampton.
Arsenal.
Carl, I thought you might know this one. It's 4-1, Craig David.
I might as well just start go.
You've still got time to pull it back. You could win it if Carl gets most of these wrong. So, you never know. There's still a chance. Next one is... Hang on. Will Ferrell. So, Spurs, Man City or Chelsea?
Man City.
You both got it wrong. It's Chelsea. So it's still 4-1, Carl. Idris Elba, Arsenal, Spurs or West Ham?
Arsenal.
It is Arsenal. It's 5-1, Carl. Harry, he's leaving you in the dust, mate. Need to catch up now. The next one is, I think this one's quite a hard one. Hugh Jackman, Wolves, Portsmouth or Norwich?
That's also really eclectic.
Norwich.
Because he played Wolverine, let's go for Wolves. Just for the laugh.
Harry's on the comeback. It's 5-2, Norwich. Norwich is Hugh Jackman's club. So there we are. 5-2. And Liam Neeson, West Brom, Man United or Liverpool?
Man United.
Yeah, Man United.
It is Liverpool. You both got it wrong.
Oh.
Of course he's... Yeah. Should have got that.
I'll take a 5-2 loss at this point. It's all right.
5-2. Do you know, if you want a bonus point, I did make a tiebreaker question just in case. So here you go. Tom Brady, Man United, Spurs or Liverpool?
United.
United, yeah.
Well, there you go. You both got an extra point on your scoreboard. It's 6-3, Carl. But Carl is the famous football fan champion. There we have it. We have your winner. Carl, it's about time you won one of these mini games.
I know it is, isn't it? Christ.
There we are. Sorted. And,
I will take that with my start.
your honorary trophy will be delivered through the post in a few years' time. So let's move on to sort of towards the end of the podcast now, and let's preview the Coventry game that we have coming up this Good Friday. So for me, obviously we spoke about it on your channel, Harry. I've got a good feeling about this game, despite obviously Coventry beating Fulham. They do have a lot of injuries, only 13 senior players, but those 13 that are left are all very good players, of course. But this game just always seems to be a draw, and historically Blues have always sort of won more against Cov than Cov have beaten us. So I am still feeling pretty good. I'd happily... I just don't want to lose this game, if I'm honest. I'd happily win this and not win any more games for the rest of the season. So there we are. But yeah, I am feeling quite confident about this game. But realistically, the two sides on paper, Cov should probably beat us. But they had a better side when we played them at the Coventry Building Society Arena, and we had probably a worse team then on paper. So make of that what you will. And we managed to get a draw. They're one of the few teams that have actually taken a point from Coventry at their own place this season. So, there's a lot of positives pointing towards Blues in this game. I feel like the only thing that's probably casts a bit of doubt is the way Coventry dismantled Fulham last week. So, Harry, I'll go to you first, mate. What are your thoughts coming into this game? Are you confident, or are you feeling Coventry?
I'm 50-50 because obviously they had that great result away at Fulham. So that puts me at a 50-50 situation. We do need to be at it. We need to stop certain good players that they have, like Gokarez, Callum O'Hare, of course, ex-Villa player O'Hare. So, like I said on my preview before this, it wouldn't surprise me if O'Hare scores the winner or something. And Tom, a nice cream egg mug there you've got, my friend.
Thank you. I was really thirsty.
Yeah, as I was saying,
I can still hear you, so it's okay.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, as I was saying, O'Hare, yeah, it wouldn't shock me to say at least if he even scores against us. But I am thinking we've just got the edge on the basis they have got injuries, but you never know in the Championship, anything can happen. But I just pray we can come through it because I don't really like Cov, if I'm being honest. Some of the fans are all right, don't get me wrong, but some of them, no, not for me.
Carl, you feeling confident, or you feel Coventry battering us this Friday?
Do you know what? I think they're going to be complacent. I think they're going to come into this game thinking they're going to absolutely batter us. Because I think we played them the last time they battered Fulham, to be fair. I think we played them just after. We got that 0-0 draw with 10 men as well, after obviously Woods was shockingly sent off. So I think Coventry are going to come in overestimating us. And I think that, I think there's going to be a bit of complacency. And I think we weren't great against Forest, but I think we're going to be in a better place. I think the only thing that worries me is the goalkeeping situation. I think we mentioned with Mark last week, Tom, that, you need a solid relationship between your keeper and the defence. Is Connell Truman that solid keeper? I don't think any of us would say he is. So that would be my concern, that if they target him at crosses and corners, which would be the smart thing to do, let's be fair. But yeah, I think they're going to come in a bit kind of, we're going to bat them. And it wouldn't surprise me if we turn them over. I'm not confident about it, but it wouldn't surprise me if we turn them over, just because teams have done that to us many times where we've gone in thinking, look at Peterborough, both games, we've gone in thinking we're going to walk this, and look what happened. So I think it'll be a similar attitude. You can't knock the work that Mark Robbins has done at Cov either. He's been fantastic, and look what happens when you're given time in a role.
Yeah.
And backing, of course. But yeah, so I think it's going to be a closer game than Coventry fans may think. Whether or not we can turn that into... I would back us to win, but it's Blues and they love to just let us down. So, yeah, but I think it will be a better game than I think many are expecting.
I completely agree, mate. I think this is also what is a bit exciting, I suppose, for this fixture is I think the run-in probably towards the end of the season. I'm not sure if we'll see Neil Etheridge again this season.
No.
To be on the safe side, you don't want to risk a head injury. So this is Connell Truman's last possible chance at a career at Birmingham City. He's had 7 or 8 years, maybe 9 years, maybe longer to
Come on, Tom. He's never really been given a chance.
He was once. I think we have to, he had a bit of a run under Monk and a bit of a run under Pep. He did make that one amazing save, and I can't remember who it was against. But I still think we lost the game anyway. Yeah, and then obviously he made the mistake for Onel Hernandez's goals when we drew 2-2 in the first game of the season against Norwich a few years back. So yeah, there's been ups and downs. I think his reactions are actually very impressive, but he's not really got much of a physical presence in the goal. I don't really remember him being a particularly commanding keeper either. So, obviously he's had little emergency loan spells here and there. Clearly probably haven't worked out the way they could have. So, yeah, I do think this is just last chance saloon now, really. And I wish him all the best because, you never want a Blues player not to succeed. So, I hope out of nowhere he turns into the Irish Manuel Neuer. The best way to describe it.
It'd be interesting to see if both him and Zach get a chance, or if he does just go with one keeper, because it's a chance for both of them to prove it. Obviously Zach had the game. Who was it? Was it the win against Brentford or the draw against Brentford? Opening game of the season under Karanka.
He was fantastic against Brentford, and
then didn't feature again because we signed Etheridge.
I'd have stuck by G-Cock that season. I actually really liked him in that game. Yeah. I thought, Etheridge is a big name, so it was like, wow, that's amazing. We've brought in a really good goalkeeper. But at the end of the day, I think we could have stuck by G-Cock and saved ourselves about £2 or £3 million.
The one thing about G-Cock is, though, apparently Salford fans didn't rate him this season when he went on loan there, and he wasn't in the first team. He was always on the bench for Salford. He didn't even start. So
yeah, but he didn't really get given a chance, though. So I feel like it's hard.
True. But I think that factor gives Truman the edge, as in, like, maybe Bowyer might think, okay, G-Cock hasn't really been starting for Salford. I'm going to go for Truman then, maybe.
Yeah, I think Salford it's you look at Salford and their season, the first half of the season were really, really poor. A lot of expectation on a Salford side because the amount of money that's been injected to it. First half of the season was very poor. They're actually flirting with relegation when they're supposed to be at the top end of the League Two. Made a few changes here and there. Obviously, Zach Cheacock was only there for the first half of the season. Second half of the season, they've really just come out of nowhere and started winning most games that they play. So now they're back in that playoff race. So maybe it would have been a better experience for Cheacock if he was involved in this second half of the season. Completely different team morale. A lot can change in a short period of time. So yeah, I think there was a lot of variables that probably didn't work out for Cheacock in that Salford move. But I suppose that's why we've brought Martin O'Connor in to try and pick out the right moves for players that are looking to go out on loan. Because obviously I believe there's a new rule where you can only loan out a certain amount of players now as well. That's coming into place next season. So, yeah, I feel like Martin O'Connor's new role will hopefully stop those failed loan spells from happening anymore, or at least they'll be a bit more productive and can pick the right club. So we'll see. It'd be interesting. I've not heard much about Mitch Roberts since he went to Carlisle. Obviously, when he signed for Carlisle, they had a different manager, and now they've brought in I say a new manager. He was actually there before for quite a while and has completely steered them away from relegation. I don't know how much Mitch Roberts has had to do with that though, but I don't think it was very much. So, we'll just have to see really, and hopefully we can see more promising loan moves. And Cheacock, if we sign more goalkeepers in the summer, Cheacock could do with another loan spell, and I do think he's good enough to play at an EFL level. So he was good for that one game with Blues, so I don't see why he couldn't do it in League One or League Two. But it would be good, like you say, Carl, if we rotate. I'd quite like that. So yeah, that goalkeeper issue probably the only little worry, I suppose. We do have a voice note from a Coventry fan from Sky Blue Fans TV. I actually did a preview over on their page, so if you want to go check that out, I'm sure the link will be in the description. So let's give it a listen.
Hi, my name's Glenn and I'm part of the Sky Blues Fans TV podcast team. I've been asked by the Blues Focus podcast to give my thoughts on Coventry City's season so far and Friday's game against Birmingham City. Start with my thoughts on season so far. It's been a really good season. Obviously we returned to Coventry after our spell in Birmingham. Great start, beat Nottingham Forest with a late goal, beat Reading with a late goal. Late goals seem to be our forte this season. Had a bit of a dip after the high of beating Fulham 4-1. Lost Matty Godden due to a ban. Lost Gustavo Hamer to a suspension. Picked up a few key injuries. Struggled to beat some teams you'd expect us to be at home. We've dropped points at home against Blues, twice away against Derby. We got beat by Barnsley. One of the few games I've managed to win this season. And also lost to Hull at home quite recently. And then we had a break over Christmas due to COVID that kind of scuppered us. We've kind of hit a bit of form now, but fortunately we've got a lot of injuries to key players. Matty Godden's missing, Liam Kelly's out. Also, we've lost Jake Clark-Salter, who Blues fans will know from his loan spell with them. He's out, so we are pretty much down to the bare bones on it. So it's going to be a tough challenge on Friday in the local derby because we've basically probably got about 13 fit first teamers and the rest are academy prospects. My thoughts on Friday's game, I'm quite looking forward to it. Probably be a draw. Most of the games against Blues tend to be a draw. I think I've only ever seen Coventry beat Birmingham once, and that was many moons ago at St Andrews in, I think it was the Coca-Cola Cup, when John Solarco scored. Or it might have been Gary McAllister scored, I can't remember. One of the two scored, and we won 1-0. I remember that as quite a young child going to watch that game. Obviously, I've spent quite a bit of time at St Andrews in the COVID season, so that was quite nice to go back there. Probably, I think my heart says it all. Cov will probably nick it maybe by the odd goal. Probably a late goal again. Head says realistically, I think Blues will be up for it. It's a derby. I expect Lee Bowyer to get the team fired up. You've got Lyle Taylor to come back. He tends to have a good record of scoring against us. I think he scored last season for Nottingham Forest, and also scored on the opening day against us. So he's someone who tends to perform quite well against us. Obviously, you've got a Coventry kid in Jordan Graham, who also has a record of scoring against us as well. And I think it might just be a game too far. I think our playoff hopes will probably come unstuck this weekend, just because we've got such a short squad with lack of options and such a quick turnaround of games. I think either Blues or Bournemouth might be the game we come unstuck under, and obviously we put a lot into the Fulham game and didn't use any subs. So score prediction, I'm going to go 2-1 Coventry City with a late goal, possibly Callum O'Hare breaking his Birmingham hoodoo, which I still have. I'm still haunted by the chance he missed in the FA Cup, where it was harder to miss than it was harder to miss than he did to score than it was to miss, like he did. So looking forward to the game. It should be a good local derby, great atmosphere. And if you want to check out our views on the game, please check out Sky Blues Fans TV podcast, where we did a match preview with Tom Oxland and Gab Sutton.
So that was Glenn from Sky Blues Fan TV. Thank you for sending in your message. I think there's a few talking points to take from that. I think there's one that us three all agree on, is that Blues fans do not see Coventry as a local derby. We never will, never have, and just don't. Like, you're just there. You're there, and that's about it. Like, yeah, we lent you our house for a bit when you had nowhere to live. So, that's about it. If anything, it's a friendly more than it is a derby. So I don't particularly like Cov, but I don't, it doesn't even come close to my hate for Villa or Wolves. It's probably the same level as Baggies, really, if not a bit less. So I don't know, but if you guys want to call it a derby, that's fine. You do your thing. We're happy to let you have that privilege if you must, if it cheers you up. My view, I've already said that I'm quite positive for the fixture, and I quite liked his thoughts on the game as such. I think realistically, a lot of people are feeling a draw just because of historic results and recent results, and that just could be very well likely. But I do think Coventry's injuries definitely done us a favour. And Callum O'Hare never wants to score against Birmingham City, and I am completely okay with that. So yeah, hopefully that hoodoo lives on. So yeah, Carl, what were your thoughts on that voice note?
He seems insistent on making it a derby, doesn't he? I mean, like I said, I'm a southerner, so the Midlands derby trash talk and stuff is a little bit lost on me, because we don't have that many down here for me to really understand, other than maybe St Pompey's the closest one. So, and it certainly isn't on that level. It's more like Brighton Crystal Palace, isn't it? So it's like the M40 derby, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but other than the derby, again, if you want to have a derby with us, lads, that's great. Thank you. You're welcome. The famous Birmingham City will let you have it. Yeah, it is definitely helpful to know the amount of players and the quality of players they've got missing, obviously. But every team's gone through it, I think, this season. I feel, I think there's only a few teams that haven't. Look at us, Christmas in January, how bad it was. And even I think when we played Cov actually at their place, because that was Harley's last game, wasn't it? I think, if I remember rightly. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to know, and I really hope we put an end to their playoff dream this weekend. No other reason. I don't hate them. I've got no reason to hate them, but it's always fun disappointing away fans, isn't it? So yeah.
I'm not particularly fond of Cov. Like I like some of their fans. I've said it before that I think sometimes they're a little bit of a B-Tech Villa and maybe live in the past of an FA Cup win or whatever it was. I think Cov are a big club, but I think they think they're bigger than they actually are. So that's the best way to describe it. But I don't have anything against Cov. They're okay. They're there, and there's a moth in my room, and I'm terrified of them. So there you go. That's my assessment. Jake Clark-Salter being injured really doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Big shock. He was Mr. Injury pretty much at Blues. Great player. There's definitely a lot of potential there, but injuries will probably continue to hold him back. Wouldn't surprise me. Harry, what were your thoughts?
I just see it as the Royal Blues against the Sky Blues, really. Like you said, Tom, probably on par with Baggies, really. And wouldn't it just be so amazing? We stop Baggies' playoff potential, and if we do it to Coventry, that will put the icing on the cake, my friend. I would absolutely love that, if I'm honest. And especially as the Coventry fans claim it as a derby, it would. Yes, that would definitely be fantastic if we could do that.
Well, I suppose we need to win some local derbies somewhere eventually, so we might as well call it that and then say we won one. Yeah, I mean, even West Brom being a bit of a local derby is sort of nitpicking at times, but the main two for me have always been sort of Wolves and Villa. Obviously, mainly Villa, but Wolves, I feel like there's something there with Wolves. There's always been a bit of something, but none of them even come close to Villa. I've born hating Villa. I'll die hating Villa, and that's about it. That's the best way to put it. So, yeah. We'll do a quick score prediction and dream picks, and then we'll quickly preview the Blackpool game. Score prediction, Harry. What are you going to go for?
1-0 Blues, mate. I think it won't be as boring as the West Brom game, where neither team really created much in the attacking sense. I do think it'll be more of an attacking game, but I do think both defences of Coventry and Birmingham will be very good. But the difference for me in this game is definitely Lyle Taylor. We've missed him in the last couple of weeks, and yes, I think he'll score the winning goal. 1-0 for Blues for me.
Love that. Love the positivity, and I hope you're right. Carl, what are you going for?
I'm going to go big. I know I said I wasn't feeling positive earlier, but let's go for it. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go 3-0 Blues. And I think that we're going to click similar to the Luton game. Maybe not in the first half, but the second half we're going to come out firing. Not sure why. And we're going to have a Taylor, Hernandez, and let's go with Taylor Richards scoring. And it's the second half, we're going to blow them away, and we're going to leave there wondering how on earth we're in the place we are. And that's what I'm going to go for. And my dream pick, I'm going to go with Taylor Richards to start.
I like that. Harry, your dream pick?
Completely forgot to say my dream pick. Nico Gordon.
Love that. My score prediction will be 2-1 Blues. Lyle Taylor back on the score sheet, and a bit of Juninho Bacuna for another goal as well. Probably Gyökeres will score a goal for them as well. Their big Swedish striker, scary guy. My dream pick. I want JJ back in the squad. I want Jordan James back in the lineup. We're on the beach. Get him in. He's a great player. Deserves more game time. I feel like his development has halted over recent weeks because of lack of game time. So I'd love to see him back on the pitch again for Blues. Definitely one of my favourite current players. So hopefully we see a bit more of JJ. Right, we'll move on to Blackpool very quickly. Quick little preview. I feel like we've kind of rounded up our current thoughts of Blues with the Cov Preview. So more on Blackpool. I think they're on the beach as well. Their results recently have sort of they've let go. They're happy that they're up. I think they were probably the least likely to stay up at the start of the season. But you look at the teams that came up last season. Blackpool are the team that have improved the most, and they've not even made that many signings. So, I feel like they're a younger team than the other teams that came up, and they've just come up, improved, adjusted, and I like Neil Critchley as a manager, so fair play to them, and I think they've got a future in the Championship, and they'll build up next season. I think the only thing that probably holds Blackpool back a bit is, financially, but, we've seen teams not spend much money and still do very well, so we shall see with that. But no, I rate Blackpool, good side, but I think with Blues bringing as many as we are down to Blackpool, there's not really anything to play for, and we've beaten them once already this season. So I think we could do it again. So my score prediction, I am going. I did say a draw originally, but I am feeling a little bit more positive. But no, I'm going to stick with my guns on what I said on your channel, Harry. I'm going to go 2-2. I think it'll be an exciting game, and I think Blues will turn up. And I'm going to say Lyle Taylor to score and Troy Deeney to score as well. And my dream pick again for that one will be Jordan James. Justice for Jordan. Get him back in the side. So, yeah, Carl, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts on Blackpool?
Yeah, I think they've done a great job to be as clear as they are of trouble at this stage of the season. Obviously very safe in the league when you think that sort of Peterborough are down. Ooh, I've pulled an earphone out. That was really good, wasn't it? When you consider that Peterborough are, for all intents and purposes, down. Who else came up with Peterborough last season? Hull, and well, they're safe as well, but they've kind of done it by the skin of their teeth. No one cares about Hull anyway. So, but yeah, I think Blackpool have done a great job. I think they've played some great football, had some fantastic results. Looking forward to going. Never been before, so that'll be an experience. But yeah, both teams will be well on the beach. We'll be more than safe by then. So both teams are on the beach. I think you're right. I think it's probably going to be a draw. Let's go for a 1-1 draw. We'll go for a rare Scotty Hogan goal. And I will go with a dream pick of... let's go with George Hall. Let's give him a run out. Why not? I think it's a good game for it, So let's give Georgie Hall a run out. I think he did well. I think he's probably done unlucky to not be in and around the squad as well.
He's another good midfielder. So competitive in that area.
Yeah. If only we were as competitive everywhere else on the pitch, it'd be great.
Have a great side.
But yeah, George Hall, 1-1, and a Scotty Hogan goal, which I think will take him to double figures for the season. So at least we'll have one striker hitting double figures this year.
Yeah, I think he's already on 10, so it would
Is
be
he?
11.
It was 9. Well, either way.
It might be 9 league goals and one cup goal. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, Scotty Hogan goal just to see the shithouse celebration towards the home fans would be lovely.
Yeah, it would be nice. The eating the goals and pointing forwards. I do like that celebration. I think he got it from an NFL player.
He did indeed, yeah.
Yeah, so there we are. And Harry, what are your thoughts on Blackpool, score prediction and dream pick?
Well, in just a general note before I come on for my prediction, I think all Blues fans would have took where Blackpool are this season in the league, and realistically, you would have thought we'd be where they are, and they would be where we are in the league. So, yeah, it's built up for a good game, like Carl said, and you said, Tom. Both teams are on the beach. I'm sure we probably all will go on the beach.
I can't wait to review this podcast at the end of the season when we somehow, most impossibly, manage to get relegated.
Yep.
But yeah, man. Good game. Could be an entertaining one. But like I said to you on my preview with you, Tom, on my channel, this season I felt as though when we take a big crowd away from home, the players tend to crumble and crack under the pressure. And that worries me for Blackpool. The only reason why I think it might not this time is because we're safe pretty much. So they shouldn't be nervous or anything at all. So with that being said, however, I do still think I'm on the fence. I really don't know what to go for, but I'm just going to stick with what I said with you, Tom. I think Blackpool will win 2-1, I'm afraid. Yeah, I just can't see anything other than the best result I can see us getting is like we're losing, and then like you've said, Tom, come back and draw 2-2 or something like that. My star pick for this game though would be Troy Deeney.
I like that. Hopefully Troy can get a couple more games in and maybe a start before the end of the season. I think he definitely needs a good pre-season in him because it's sort of a bit of a last chance for him as well. I don't think he had a proper pre-season, and that's probably why the injuries have sort of hindered him, I suppose. But you say that for a lot of the players. I think this pre-season we've got coming up is huge. Obviously with Sean Rush as well being with us from the start should help. We've got to look to improve. We've got to look to be more fit because the amount of injuries we've had this season is just unacceptable. I don't think I've ever seen it this bad at Blues, ever. Probably not since we got relegated from the Premier League. Everyone was dropping injured back then, and then we ended up going down. So, big season next season, but let's just enjoy what I'm going to continue to call on the beach games, and hopefully it remains that way. I think it would be quite a mystery if it didn't. So, hey ho. Thank you for joining us as well on whatever platform you've listened to us on, whether it be Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Google Play, anything, whatever takes your fancy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Harry, for being our special guest today. Go check out his channel, Brummie On Tour. And as always, Carl, the man, the myth, the fans' favourite. Thank you for joining, as always.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's been good as ever.
No worries, mate.
Cheers, lads. Keep right on, and we'll see you all in the next podcast, hopefully next week. Ooh, will it happen? Will it be 4 in a row? That's the question. Keep right on. Up the Blues.